There is an enemy inside you. It sabotages your ambitions, poisons your confidence, and whispers doubts into your mind. It convinces you to settle for less, to avoid risk, to stay comfortable. And the most terrifying part? You don't even realize it's happening. You think it's you. You think these thoughts are rational, that they are protecting you, that they are keeping you from making mistakes. But in reality, they are the chains that keep you trapped. Nietzsche understood this better than anyone. He saw that the greatest struggle in life is not against the world, not against other people, but against yourself. It is against the part of you that resists growth, the part that clings to safety, the part that fears becoming something greater. And until you conquer that part of yourself, you will never be free. Most people never win this battle. They do not even realize there is a battle to fight. They accept their limitations as truth, their fears as reality, their weaknesses as unchangeable. They tell themselves stories about why they cannot do what they truly want, stories about talent, about luck, about unfair circumstances. But Nietzsche would call this what it really is: self-deception. A comfortable lie that allows you to avoid responsibility for your own potential, because the truth is far more brutal. The truth is that you are not being held back by the world. You are being held back by yourself, and no one is coming to save you.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Nietzsche's philosophy was not designed for the weak. It was a philosophy of struggle, of self-overcoming, of ruthless self-honesty. He believed that most people live in a state of denial, avoiding the truth of their own power, because power comes with responsibility. If you admit that you are capable of more, then you no longer have an excuse. You can no longer blame society or your past or your circumstances. You must face the terrifying fact that your life is in your hands. And that is what most people fear more than anything. This is why Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, the higher individual, the one who overcomes himself, the one who does not accept the limitations imposed by others or by his own weaker instincts. The Übermensch is not born, it is created. It is forged through struggle, through discipline, through the relentless destruction of every excuse and weakness that stands in the way of greatness. And this is what most people refuse to do. They cling to their comfort, to their old identity, to the version of themselves that is safe and familiar. But safety is an illusion. Comfort is a trap. And the longer you stay in it, the weaker you become. Look at your own life. How many times have you held yourself back? How many times have you felt the desire to do something great, only to feel that inner voice telling you it's too risky, that you're not ready, that you'll fail? How often have you listened to that voice and retreated back into safety? That voice is not your friend. It is not protecting you. It is your enemy. And if you do not learn to silence it, to overpower it, to destroy it, it will control you for the rest of your life. Nietzsche understood that the path to greatness is not about external achievement, it is about internal battle. It is about becoming the kind of person who does not flinch in the face of fear, who does not crumble under doubt, who does not surrender to weakness. It is about becoming someone who can master himself. Because if you cannot master yourself, you will be mastered by something else, by your fears, by society, by the expectations of others. And that is the fate of most people. They do not live, they are lived. They do not control their destiny, they are controlled by forces they do not even perceive. This is why Nietzsche rejected the morality of weakness, the morality that tells you to be small, to be humble, to suppress your desires, to accept your fate. He saw this as a slave mentality, a way for the weak to keep the strong from realizing their power. Because the moment you realize that you are capable of shaping your own life, everything changes. The moment you stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for the perfect moment, stop waiting for someone to tell you it's possible, you become something else. You become dangerous. You become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who does not ask what is possible, but decides what is possible. But this transformation is not easy. It requires destruction. You must destroy the version of yourself that is weak, that is afraid, that is comfortable. You must be willing to let go of everything that does not serve your highest potential. And that means pain. That means sacrifice. That means embracing discomfort, not as something to be avoided, but as something to be pursued. Because every time you push through discomfort, you grow. Every time you face fear and refuse to back down, you become stronger. Every time you resist the urge to retreat into safety, you move closer to becoming what you were meant to be. So the question is, who is in control of your life? Is it you? Or is it the part of you that seeks comfort, that avoids difficulty, that fears failure? Because one of you will win, one of you will dominate. And if you do not take control, if you do not actively choose to become stronger, then your weaker self will control you. And that will be the end of any greatness you could have achieved. This is the brutal truth that most people do not want to hear. You are your own worst enemy. Not the world, not other people, not luck. You, your mind, your habits, your decisions. And until you decide to fight against that part of yourself, to destroy the weaknesses that hold you back, nothing will change. You will remain exactly where you are, living a life that is smaller than what you are capable of, trapped by limitations that only exist because you refuse to break them. But here is the other truth, the truth that Nietzsche saw, the truth that changes everything. If you are your own worst enemy, that means you are also your own greatest weapon. It means that the power to change, to grow, to achieve something extraordinary is entirely within you. It means that you do not have to wait for anything or anyone. You do not have to hope for better circumstances, for more luck, for some external force to save you. You have everything you need right now. The only question is whether you will use it. So what will you do? Will you continue to let your weaker self control you? Will you continue to make excuses, to avoid discomfort, to live in fear? Or will you decide, right now, that you will take full responsibility for your life? That you will face your fears head on, that you will stop accepting limits, that you will destroy the part of you that keeps you small? Because no one else can do it for you. No one else is coming. There is only you. And the battle is already happening, whether you acknowledge it or not. Weakness is not something you are born with. It is something you allow to grow inside you, something that festers every time you choose comfort over challenge, every time you surrender to fear instead of pushing through it, every time you let your emotions dictate your actions instead of bending reality to your will. And the truth is, weakness does not just exist in your body, it lives in your mind. It is in the way you think, in the way you justify inaction, in the way you convince yourself that you are powerless when, in reality, you are the only thing standing in your way. Nietzsche believed that strength is not something forged in the fire of struggle, something that must be earned through effort, through pain, through relentless self-overcoming. He rejected the idea that people should accept their limitations, that they should be content with mediocrity, that they should live their lives according to the expectations of others. He believed that the greatest crime a person can commit against themselves is to live beneath their potential, to allow weakness to take root and dictate their existence. Because weakness does not just limit you, it destroys you. It turns you into a slave to your own emotions, to your own fears, to a world that does not care whether you succeed or fail. Look at your own life. How many times have you wanted something but stopped yourself before even trying? How many times have you felt the fire inside you, the drive to become something more, only to let it die because the path looked too difficult? How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," knowing deep down that tomorrow will never come? That is weakness. That is the enemy inside you winning. And the only way to kill it is to stop feeding it, stop giving it excuses, stop letting it control your decisions, stop believing that your fears are real, that your doubts are facts, that your limitations are permanent. Because they are not. They only exist for as long as you allow them to. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is the antidote to weakness. It is the idea that life is not about survival, not about comfort, not about playing it safe. It is about growth, about expansion, and about imposing your will on the world instead of letting the world impose its will on you. It is about taking full responsibility for your existence, about refusing to let anyone or anything dictate what is possible for you. And most people will never understand this. They will live their entire lives avoiding struggle, avoiding pain, avoiding anything that forces them to confront the truth of their own potential. And in doing so, they will remain weak. They will die with regret, knowing they could have been more but chose not to be. But you do not have to be one of them. You can kill the weakness inside you. You can rebuild yourself into someone who does not flinch in the face of difficulty, someone who does not break under pressure, someone who does not run from fear but walks straight into it. But it will require war. War against your old self. War against every excuse, every hesitation, every habit of weakness that has taken root inside you. It will require you to do the things you do not want to do, to push through pain when every part of you wants to stop, to embrace struggle not as something to be avoided, but as something to be sought out. Because struggle is the only thing that makes you stronger. Nietzsche said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." This is not just a quote, it is a law of reality. Every time you face hardship and survive, you become harder to break. Every time you endure suffering and refuse to let it defeat you, you become more powerful. Every time you push through fear and do what must be done regardless of how you feel, you become less like the person you were and more like the person you were meant to be. And that is the key. That is the secret that most people never realize. Strength is not about never feeling fear, never feeling doubt, never feeling pain. It is about moving forward despite those things, about refusing to let them dictate your actions, about proving to yourself that you are stronger than whatever stands in your way. But this is not a one-time battle. It is a war that never ends. Every day, weakness will try to return. It will whisper in your ear, telling you to take it easy, to give yourself a break, to avoid discomfort. And every day you must kill it again. You must wake up and choose discipline over laziness, action over hesitation, strength over weakness. You must make the decision, over and over again, that you will not be controlled by the part of you that wants to stay small, that wants to stay safe, that wants to avoid the pain of growth. Look at the people you admire. The ones who have built something great, who have achieved something extraordinary, who have transformed themselves into forces of nature. Do you think they got there by being comfortable? Do you think they avoided struggle, avoided fear, avoided pain? No, they embraced it. They ran toward it. They understood that the price of greatness is suffering, and they were willing to pay it. And that is the difference between those who rise and those who remain trapped. The ones who achieve greatness are not the ones who never feel weak, they are the ones who refuse to let weakness win. So the question is, what are you willing to suffer for? What are you willing to endure? What are you willing to sacrifice to become the person you were meant to be? Because if the answer is nothing, then you have already lost. If you are not willing to go to war against your own weakness, then your weakness will own you. It will control your decisions, dictate your future, limit your potential. And you will wake up one day, full of regret, realizing that you wasted the only life you had. But if you are willing to fight, if you are willing to push through pain, if you are willing to kill the version of yourself that is holding you back, then there are no limits to what you can become. You can rebuild yourself into someone unbreakable, someone unstoppable, someone who does not wait for permission or approval or the right circumstances. You can become the kind of person who shapes reality instead of being shaped by it. And that is the only way to win. That is the only way to escape the fate of the weak, the fate of those who die without ever truly living. Strength is not given, it is taken. And you must decide right now whether you will take it or whether you will let it slip away. Because weakness is always waiting. It will return the moment you let your guard down. And if you do not kill it every single day, it will kill you. Everything comes down to this. You have two choices. You can let the weaker version of yourself dictate your actions, make excuses, avoid discomfort, and live a life far below your potential. Or you can kill that version of yourself and rebuild something stronger, something unstoppable, something that no longer operates from fear but from power. There is no middle ground. Every decision you make either strengthens you or weakens you. Every time you choose discipline over laziness, action over hesitation, courage over comfort, you become harder to break. And every time you avoid the hard things, every time you surrender to fear, every time you make an excuse instead of taking responsibility, you give your weaker self more control. Nietzsche saw this as the ultimate battle, the battle against yourself. He did not believe in excuses, in blaming circumstances, in waiting for the world to change. He believed in transformation through struggle, in becoming something greater through relentless self-overcoming. He believed that the only true path to freedom was through mastery of oneself. And that means breaking yourself down completely and rebuilding from the ground up. It means erasing the old patterns, the old fears, the old identity that has kept you trapped, and forging a new one through discipline, through action, through sheer force of will. Imagine you are a sculptor, and your life is the block of stone in front of you. Most people never touch the stone. They wait for it to sculpt itself, to somehow form into something great on its own. But it never does. It remains rough, unshaped, undefined. And then they die, leaving behind nothing but wasted potential. But the ones who understand Nietzsche's philosophy do not wait. They take the hammer and chisel and carve something extraordinary out of themselves. And that process is painful. It requires cutting away everything that does not belong. It requires striking the stone again and again, refining it, reshaping it, never stopping, never accepting anything less than something truly great. This is why most people avoid transformation. They do not want to destroy their old selves, even if their old selves are weak, afraid, and unfulfilled. They cling to the familiar, to the comfortable, to the identity they have always known. But greatness requires destruction. You must be willing to sacrifice who you were for who you could become. You must be willing to suffer, to endure, to push through every resistance your mind throws at you. Because your mind will fight back. It does not want to change. It wants to stay safe, to stay in control, to keep you from taking risks. But that is the test. That is the battle. And only those who are willing to fight it every single day will ever see what they are truly capable of. So what does this look like in practice? It means eliminating the habits that keep you weak, the distractions that steal your time, the excuses that justify inaction. It means training your mind to embrace discomfort, to seek challenge, to move toward fear instead of away from it. It means forcing yourself to do the things you do not want to do, not because they are easy or enjoyable, but because they make you stronger. It means looking at every obstacle, every hardship, every failure as fuel, as something that sharpens you rather than breaks you. It means controlling your emotions, mastering your thoughts, refusing to be ruled by impulse or fear. It means deciding once and for all that you will not be another person who dies full of regret, who looks back and realizes they wasted their time. That they let themselves be controlled by weakness instead of taking control of their own fate. There is nothing stopping you except yourself. That is the truth most people cannot face. They want to believe that their problems are external, that their failures are caused by circumstances beyond their control. But the only real obstacle is the one in your mind. And the moment you decide to break through it, everything changes. The world is not fixed. Reality is not set in stone. The people who have achieved greatness, who have built empires, who have defied the odds, who have reshaped history, were not born different from you. They simply refused to accept limits. They refused to stay weak. They refused to let fear win. So what will you do? Will you continue to live as a prisoner of your own mind? Will you continue to let your fears, your doubts, your old patterns dictate your future? Or will you decide right now that you will take full control, that you will destroy the weakness inside you and rebuild something stronger? That you will not die as the same person you are today, but as something greater, something powerful, something that no longer waits for life to happen but takes it by force. Because in the end, there is only one truth. You are either growing or you are dying. You are either becoming stronger or you are becoming weaker. And the choice is yours.